Now, John Cena, who was not in the Royal Rumble match, he watched the Rumble at home, he said. He gave an interview to Sports Illustrated, and he opined that Brock Lesnar is the greatest in-ring performer of all time. This is what he said. He said, "I can say with the utmost sincerity that I believe Brock Lesnar is the best in-ring performer that I have seen, and I know it's an opinion, and if you want a cool quote, here it is. I think he's the best in-ring performer of all time. I thought his performance at the Rumble was a clinic on how to establish yourself, how to establish those around you, establish the championship, establish the importance of one event. He did so in less than 30 minutes, and I certainly don't have the skill set to do that, and it was awesome to be able to see as a masterclass. The man put on a clinic on what to do and how to do it, and I was really impressed with the Rumble." And the interviewer pressed him on the point and said, "So wait, you're saying that Brock is the best ever?" And Cena said, "I really do think so. I genuinely think that he has a good understanding of who he is. I think he's the best at what needs to be done as far as having a mystique that will draw eyeballs to watch him. And when he does, he never disappoints. He believes so much in his presence, and he has such a definable presence, you can't ignore him. He never wastes anyone's time. And everything he does is so special, and everything he does is meaningful. It's not at all selfish. He's one of the most giving performers in WWE, and that is the mark of a true craftsman and a professional." Now, this is Cena's opinion. It is a very subjective thing. I just did a feature a few weeks ago on my top 5 wrestlers of the decade a few weeks ago, and Brock Lesnar was my number 1 pick for wrestler of the decade in WWE. Overall, I had Tanahashi and Okada ahead of him. But in WWE, there was no one more dominant, not just in terms of how he was booked on TV. I mean, anybody can be dominant on TV. You know, I could sign a contract with WWE, and if I have a friend who is writing the show, he can book me to win all my matches too. I mean, that doesn't mean a whole lot, but I'm not just talking in terms of that, but in terms of how everything in the company revolved around this guy for much of the decade. He came in 2012, he came back. And almost the entire time that he spent in that company, more so in after the first, I'd say, couple of years, but everything just revolved around this guy. He was sort of the gatekeeper. He was like the final boss. He was the man. He was booked to be just so much more important than everybody else there the entire time. So he worked with all the key guys. He worked with some of the younger guys. Some of the biggest matches, some of the biggest moments all involved Brock Lesnar. And in them, yeah, some matches were disappointing because they were so quick, but there were some great matches. He does not get enough credit from people. In the second half of his career, he has some great matches in the first half, but even the second half of his career, people just always, he's got a big gut and he barely shows up and he's sweating and he's slow and he's plodding, and I hear all this stuff about him. If anything, I think he's underrated in terms of a lot of the matches that he has had. The big fight feel to everything that he does. People stop what they're doing and they pay attention when he comes out. And he's face-to-face, nose-to-nose with somebody, especially if he's in there with somebody new that he's never been in the ring with before. Big guy, small guy, doesn't matter. People are curious. How's this going to go? Are they going to work well together? Are they going to be able to hang with this guy? Is he going to give them anything? Is he just going to suplex them? How's this going to go? How's Brock going to react to all this? You going to bump for the guy? Everything about him defined that last decade in WWE. Now, to call him the greatest in-ring performer of all time, in a world where Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and Ric Flair and Kurt Angle exist, again, we're talking in-ring now. Best of all time is debatable to me, but I think he's absolutely in that conversation.